the Super Tournament. We only have 2 more best of 5s. We'll have wrapped up the round of 16.
2 TVZs left for the night, and they are crazy good ones. Solar against Bunny and Maru against Sue, my match of the night.
Yeah, I think that's everybody's match of the night, Ortosis. But Solar versus Bunny, this should be pretty close. I think this favors Solar.
You think?
I think so. Bunny's very good, though, and I think a lot of times I do underestimate him when we're casting him.
I do like Bunny's TVZ quite a bit, so
yeah.
I think that this is a pretty close one, but I'm actually going with Bunny a little bit on
Okay. Well, let's see what kind of condition that Solar's in right now. We've already had 2 very different ZVT styles, one exhibited by Biel, the other by Dark, really showing us this is a matchup that Zerg can approach in a lot of different ways in the mid-game. What is Solar going to do?
Yeah,
that's what I want to see. Where do more of the Korean Zergs lean?
Well, Solar has always had kind of his own style. It's kind of funny that we haven't been talking about Solar much. He hasn't had like the most dynamite year since BlizzCon.
Yeah,
that was a very disappointing BlizzCon for him as well.
In the shadows of some of these other players in Korea right now.
Last year, he was the 2nd in WCS overall. Like, he was doing fantastically last year. Here, it's just like a slower start for him. We've been talking so much about Sue, Biel, and Dark because they've been just kind of on a tear and killing it, but Solar is like the other Zerg that goes along with them in that group where you're like talking about the best Zergs in Korea.
Bunny's been on the up and up. I think especially this guy is overshadowed by the other Terrans that we have. Yeah. The 4 horsemen of Terran. You know, between players like Beyond and Maru, TY, Innovation even though Innovation had a little bit of a lackluster performance today. You know, Bunny is somebody who's up there. He is top tier.
Yeah, he's like in that second group, right? Where it's you got players like Gumiho, Ryung, Alive, where it's like, okay, these Terrans are all really deadly. They're really super good. It's kind of funny how we have, because I feel like Terran, more than the other races right now in Korea, is really developed, where we have just this super solid set of pro gamers, where there's like 10 Terrans right now in Korea that are just so good, and you expect them to do well every time.
Solar, known for being a very solid player. I'm not sure what exactly he's got in store here against Bunny. He does have a lot of good timings early on, so you might see a little bit of that. I don't know if we're going to see any of those weird Ravager rushes we were seeing early on. I think that that was like a thing that kind of happened in GSL Codas, and it was like catching some Terrans with their pants down, but I don't think we're going to have anything like that. Maybe some of these weird 2-base timings.
Well, Bunny's micro is pretty on key, so if you're going to try to kill him early on, you better be quite decisive about it. I do think that we'll see probably more of a Roach-based style out of him, more of a dark style, less of a Biel's
play style.
Yeah.
Which is more mutas, banelings, lings.
I always think of Solar more as like a brainy Zerg and less as a mechanic Zerg.
Okay.
And I think that like if you're going to play like Biel, you better have mechanics like Biel.
Sure.
Okay, you better hit every inject, every creep spread. Like, you really got to be that type of kind of monstrous player. Not to say that like Solar isn't as good or better than Biel, it's just like a different style. So, I mean, that's, who knows, maybe he'll just go Ling Bane Muta every game. I'm like, oh, I don't know anything. You know.
Well, we are going to be on the map Newkirk Precinct. Now, this map and this match is made for, at times, some pretty short games. A lot of times, one player gets in a fight on one side of the map, either wins there or loses, and then the counterattack completely destroys them. So, this may be a fast-paced match, at least to start things off in game number 1. But this is definitely a series between these two. I think could easily go to game 5.
Yeah, I would not be adverse to seeing a game 5 here in both the next series.
Yeah,
that quick 3-0 of Alive Innovation was a little bit. It was a good series.
That was a little bit weird, man.
It was very quick though.
All right, guys, our third best of 5 is ready. Solar versus Bunny, a fight to the round of 8. In the bottom left, in the blue, he is
Slice Solar.
Staying hydrated.
Taking a drink.
Take a drink.
Get your hand back up on the mouse.
In the bottom right, in the red, he is
Dust Gaming Bunny.
No drinks for you. Too far along in the early game.
Way too focused.
Way too focused here. Does have an open hot 6, though. We saw that.
Got to keep that energy up.
Hot 6.
So Solar going to open a little bit darkish style gas and pool before his hatchery. Whereas we have the gas first coming out of Bunny. So can get that reactor and factory a bit more quickly.
Okay, the hatchery is going to go ahead and come down here. Bunny is, for me personally, I feel like, what is it? 4 out of 10 here. 4 higher. Yeah, Bunny's a player. I'm always wondering, like, when is this guy going to have his, like, real big moment? Is he going to have a real big moment? Because, you know, we've had a lot of players we've commentated that they're always, like, they look really good. They've been in, like, countless GSLs, or in this case in a super tournament, or we cast them when we're overseas like we, you know, did in Katowice for IEM. But they don't win. They don't win big.
Yeah.
They take games off of good players. They get deep. Sometimes they might even get in the Final Four. But they don't go all the way. I have to imagine, you know, when there's this many tournaments, you know, and there still is, you know, a lot of people watching StarCraft too, people that are really interested in, you know, seeing these guys compete. A lot of the people that are watching right now probably, you know, very familiar with both these guys. If you've played that many times and you haven't won yet, like, you got to be so hungry, you know?
Yeah, it has to be frustrating as well, but I think Bunny is still up and coming, and I think it's more likely that we see someone like him end up actually winning a tournament than like a Gumiho or Ryung, even though I would kind of put them maybe a little bit above him at the moment. By the way, that is so annoying. Look at that.
Yeah, he denied that SCV.
He was very stealthy. He actually ran the lings on the high. Ooh, wow. That was like really swift and brave. He's the real brave one.
That's right, not us.
But he actually like planned this very well. He slows down the landing of that, scouts what's going on, and slows down the building of this, all by just putting those 2 lings on the high ground as the Reaper can bass. So that was a really cool move.
To what you were saying earlier, Tosas, it's funny because, like, you look at how old Brood War is, right? And I like the fact that StarCraft 2 has been around for a while. We have real stories with these guys.
Yeah.
Not just their stories from Brood War, but, you know, what their history's like in StarCraft 2 through the various expansion packs.
Yeah.
So what's also intriguing about that is if you look back into Brood War, for instance, sometimes it took people like 6-7 years before they ever started succeeding or even appearing in tournaments.
Yes, yes. And as the games get older, the time that it takes for someone to rise up gets longer. Like at the beginning of Brood War, right? Brood War is a year old. Well, I mean, it's not going to take you 6 years to be on the top of that. Same thing with the beginning of StarCraft 2. But now that it's a 6-7-year-old game, if you want to start out as a pro gamer and get better than Innovation, that is going to take you a very long time to be able to get into a tournament and beat Innovation or something like that.
It's also a different skill set as well. Being good in RTS, like right when it comes out,
yes, it is.
Really, people haven't figured out. You might be like a smart player that just throws people off. I got to stop everything that I'm talking about and point out something important. He's doing a drop.
Yeah, Queen drop.
Queen drop. And I don't think there's really much of anything back at home.
Yeah, no, he has some lings. But this is kind of an interesting
I've been back at home for Terran, I mean.
Oh, yeah, no, he's got a Banshee that's about to pop out, but that's not going to do so well against 3 Queens.
He's going to drop the Banshee. You ever heard of that phrase said in the cast, guys? Now you've heard everything. He comes out here at the last second. Auto turret goes down. Obviously, the Lings have to back off from that.
Yeah, but the Queen drop is going to hit, and there's not a lot of units. As you said, Tace, there's a very cool counter coming out of Solar right now.
Yeah, unexpected Queen drop comes in here. And now he's going to have to try to back up. Now, this Queen is taking a good amount of damage, but Transfuse comes in pretty handy in that moment. We don't know what the HP is on that.
Oh, nice.
Now he can actually juggle. Look at
Kills
this.
it. Look at it. He's killed the Banshee, which, by the way, Cloak is almost done. Cloak is finishing like right now, and he just lost his first Banshee.
It's to show you just how far Transfuse can get with just Queens alone.
9 SCVs. 9 SCVs and that Banshee. This was a fantastic drop. I haven't actually seen that as a counter to this build, but it has done so well.
Now he can hit the front here. And, I mean, he could just move these Queens back here. He can actually kill the Marines. I mean, it's not like there's a lot.
I am loving this.
How funny is this?
See, this is kind of what we were talking about before. This guy's kind of a more strategic player, and this is such a creative way. Maybe Zerg has done this already, like this exact counter against the Because right now, like, Reactor to Hellions pressuring into, like, a Banshee and Raven and stuff, that's, like, pretty common in the matchup. But this is... What an awesome strategy that Solar has chosen
so cool.
here.
And it's funny because the queens keep regenning each other.
And you never really think of the Queen as an early harassment unit because it's like the slowest thing in the world.
It's like a mobile turret, and then it has all these economic functions to it. But yeah, I mean, I guess you could put 3 of them in and just keep transfusing. Terran's losing a lot of workers.
Yeah.
This is all done right before Stim could even finish. Stim's going to finish up right about now. But it also denied the Banshee doing anything. Normally the Banshee always gets across the map. It kills 1 to 2 workers.
Yeah.
And then, you use that to try to pin.
Well, the fact that he... Oh,
okay,
that was a swift kill. That was good. But he killed the first Banshee. So it's like, if you get Cloak and it finishes right after your first Banshee dies in your main base, that's so sad.
Yeah, normally Cloak can pay for itself because you're going to get in there, you're going to do some damage. But the fact that he denied that, look here. Solar is like...
Very
now
much
we
on
have a
top of
completely...
things.
So we've had BL's cool, kind of DRG-like style, using mutas and being pretty abusive with them, along with Lings and Banes. And then we had, Dark, who's playing like the future of Zerg. But then over here is Solar, like just a strategy genius. This is not the games that Bunny practiced for, by the way, guys.
No. And that makes it very tough as well. And you know what? This is like such a rich and awesome time. A lot of times in the past, we've thought of Terran and Zerg as more mechanical races where it's like very much the same game over and over and different degrees of mechanics. And, obviously there's decision-making and strategy in there as well. But, like, I'm feeling with the crop of Zergs we have right now, they're as differentiated as a lot of the Protoss players are, if not even more so.
It really does show that Zerg can be such a dynamic race.
Yeah.
There's not, like, necessarily the proper way to play Zerg. And I don't know where exactly Solar's going to take us in this next game up here. My God!
Look what he's going for, Tasteless. He's going Hydra Bane?
Yeah.
That is so awesome.
Well, if you think of how much the Terran was slowed down early, maybe he ends up just getting beaten up too badly there. Actually taking that out. Nicely done.
Well, Hydras are really good right now. They have that like extra buff recently on that health, and they deal damage super, super fast. He's got some good upgrades on the way as well.
Okay, the Lings and the Bangs are coming out here. Now, he's going to force a pickup, but there's not quite enough here to carry everything. And the Hydras are still being kept in the bag.
I don't think he really knows that it's happening yet. And with something like just a bunch of Hydras coming out suddenly with the upgrades, you can just walk across and kill the third base. Like, the third base cannot lift up and get away really quickly enough. The Banes can keep everything off those Hydras. Like, this first attack is going to be super
right
strong.
now.
Look at how much he's hiding it, too.
Now, note, he's going to rotate through here because there's a chance that these Marines are going to try to surprise him up here at the top. And look at this. He's just completely catching this all right over here. Now he has to back up. Now, the Hydra's not, I mean, they're fast, but they're not like fast like Lings with speed. So Terran's going to try to come back and assemble and get some defense. But there's going to be so many Banelings. This is an attack that has to be hit at a very specific time in the game. And Terran just might not have all the tools necessary to actually hold this off. He might just get run over.
That is so many Banelings right now. A really huge amount of them coming over with these Hydras. Hydra's going to start to poke in. This bunker is not done yet. Some auto turrets going to be thrown down, but will that actually be enough?
Yeah, I'm not sure. This damage output is pretty insane. The Hydra's coming in now. The Banelings going in to try to connect with these Marines. He's filling up these bunkers, but you can see this arc of Hydras is just doing so much damage. He's actually going to target the command center.
And it looks like he's killing a lot of SCVs off here as well as they try to repair. More Banelings rolling in right now, going after the Marines. Back going to get on top of this siege tank before it even gets its second shot off.
Yeah.
And this is too much damage.
GG, Solar.
Super cool game.
Solar, I think, actually might be a time traveler who just came back 5 years from the future to win the SuperTournament. This guy's playing like with completely crazy strats.
I love it. Looked like he was playing a PvZ right there.
You know, what's funny about it, too, is that, like, I doubt that Bunny was, when he did practice for the SuperTournament, he was playing against that playstyle. The Queen's probably got to his face, and he's like, what?
Yeah. Like, we do see Queen drops from time to time, but normally it's with an all-in. This was just a counter-harassment while he was holding off Hellions back at home. Very well done. I love the Hydra attack.
Yeah, he was using that like a lot of Terrans use the Banshee to try to just fly around so that he keeps transfusing. So basically, Terran has to go back with everything to fight off the Queens. He has to make you burn all the transfuses and then pick up and leave because you're zoned out. You can see Bunny tried to put pressure on the front of Solar's base, and it just did not work.
Yeah. All right, so will Solar play like a similar style here? I think Bunny, we're going to see kind of the same thing over and over. You know, he's just going to try to play his good, strong mechanical game, get in that mid game where his medevac skills, his great dropping can pay off. But Solar bringing the fight to him with those queens early, man. Highlight of that game.
Hot 6.
All right,
GSL
guys.
Super Tournament.
Game number
Season
2.
1.
Let's do this. Solar versus none other than Bunny. I don't know what Solar's going to do this next game, but I hope Bunny's ready. Because Solar's marching to his own beat, man. In the upper right, in the blue, showing us a new style of play.
Splice. Solar.
Put your hands on the keyboard. Does he go for a drink this time?
Oh, I don't think so.
Does he have any water in his cup? In the upper left, in the red. He's
just always asking the questions everyone really wants to know.
That's right, man.
Is there water in that cup?
Yeah.
Barbara Walters here of StarCraft.
The Barbara Walters of esports. Get comfortable, get that posture going, man.
Little wiggly chair going on. Once again, the speed, very fast speed opener here, very safe and definitely has that potential for some aggression for Solar. See where Bunny goes. That was a gas first, so.
Solar is scouting south with his first Overlord. The second is going to find the spawn location here for Bunny, which is in the upper left. We'll try to keep an eye on where the SCV is sent out here for Bunny to find out if he's going to find Solar right away, which I think actually matters in this game more than most of the games we cast because Solar's doing weird stuff this time around. Now, do we actually see the queens come in again? Is that because that's what I want to know. Part of that strategy is just the other player being like, what? And then you start to lose stuff, and you're like, is this for real? Like, this is a televised match? But if it's actually so strong that he can just kind of abuse the Terran and basically play it safe. Terran, all pressure's off if Zerg does that to Terran, it seems like.
I really liked it. And the thing is, it would be really bad against some things. Like, let's say that you're going for the double medevac stim attack. You're just going to have enough Marines that I think that's going to be like a pretty pointless drop. But like making the extra queens is not bad. Having a drop Overlord early is not bad. Having Overlord speed early is not bad. It's not like this is the greatest commitment that anyone's ever seen.
Well, it's also it doesn't seem to be that much of a gimmick.
Yeah,
because you have drop later on. You know what I mean? I mean, drop's always
it's useful.
handy.
It's just you have an Evo, so you're getting like your carapace or something.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Yeah. It's something that actually allows you to kind of parlay into late game. Lings come up again. This is a story that keeps repeating itself. He's actually denying the command center again.
Where is the Reaper? He's actually going to force a cancel here.
Yeah, the Reaper is actually in the middle of the map.
Oh my god!
Just to the
this
left
is
of
going
the
to be a cancel.
watchtower.
Yeah, he has 2 more Lings coming. 100%. This is going to be. That is. Oh, poor Bunny, man.
Oh my god. That is so bad. I actually feel really bad for Bunny, man.
He is getting slaned so far. Like another great move from Solar, sneaking those Lings in. Reaper just having no idea, and a lot of what you said about the scouting time here making the difference. Quite a few Lings on the map. 17 Lings right now.
Solar the time traveler, guys.
Look at this. He does not have many drones at all.
Hey, Solar, I have a time machine. Let's go back in time and kill Hitler. No, I got this. I'm going to go in the Super Tournament. No! He drives away in the what is the name of that thing in Back to the Future? The DeLorean? DeLorean. Sorry, guys. I'm not a nerd. I'm sorry, guys. I got to hand in my nerd card. I didn't know what that was called. I've been exposed as a fraud.
Yeah. I could have told you anything there, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's called the Enterprise, Staceless.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, yeah, Starship Enterprise. From Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
Then I have to hand in another nerd card. I just keep giving out nerd cards. Eventually, you guys find out I'm a rugby player that uses a flip phone.
52 nerd card pickup is what tastes here at the GSL. Okay, spots that it's being remade. Okay. Same type of build as the last game.
Raven in production right now. The fact alone that he denied the command center from being built means that the build that Bunny's doing is like already completely off rhythm.
Definitely not a comfortable spot to be in. The Lings are actually, look at this, he's baiting the Overlord.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Okay. I hate
that was a swift lift up. I like that.
Good reaction skills there, but he's still, oh my god. Okay, he does still lose the Hellions, it looks like.
And going to lose at least a couple SCVs, I would think. No?
Okay, here's, and actually, I really don't like talking like this, but this is actually a bit humiliating here for Bunny.
It feels like Solar is outdoing him in a lot of ways.
It's like a Harlem Globetrotter right now.
Yeah, he's being pretty much a fancy pants, but maybe Bunny can pull it together as he actually gets his expansion down, although it is quite late for him. He has a good amount of Hellions on the map. He has a Banshee incoming, so those can definitely help out. But a Roach Warren is coming up, which is a good counter to these Hellions.
Yeah, we'll see how much pressure he can actually put on here. Zerg might want to just try to do a timing attack. I mean, you kind of have to get that initial, whether it's the command center, the Nexus, or the hatchery up. Because the fact of the matter is, not only did he deny it, but it didn't really cost Solar that much of anything.
Yeah.
He just basically had the Reaper out of position. Normally, in a pro match, when you see, let's say, a Nexus, a hatchery, a command center denied, that's because the other player sacrificed so much to get into that position. But this game is an exception to that. It's like, oh, you just didn't have the Reaper there. I guess I get this for free.
Oh, totally. That was very, very hurtful to Bunny, who, by the way, is making a third command center very quickly and hasn't seen the Roach Warren. So there's a possibility of an attack coming up. Auto turret coming down.
Yep, he's going to try to move these over there. Auto turret, one of the few ones we've seen killed in a game that didn't just.
Was that killed?
Yeah,
it was close.
Spire coming down now.
Yeah, some siege tanks being added in right now for Bunny. Just kind of sitting back. He wants to get into a macro game this time. Does not want to just die.
Kind of makes sense he'd get a third command center, even though Zerg might be able to beat him up for this, just because if he tries to just power up on 2 bases with a late, first CC, you're just probably always going to have less.
Well, that third CC is completed right now. The Hellions still running around, seeing what they can get done, going after this third base. A few drones will go down.
Looks like he gets about 5. The Lings come down here to try to get a catch. It looks like most of the Hellions are going to slip away.
Sees the Roach there. So that's definitely important. Doesn't know about the Spire, I don't think, though.
Okay, chucking another auto turret down here. And this may be the last time he can do this safely since there's a high chance mutas are going to be out now. And that's just going to be something else that's hard to deal with. Hey, not bad,
look at this, 10 drones.
Yeah,
really
11.
Solid harassment out of Bunny. And one thing we definitely need to point out, look at the 1-1. It's like 2/3 the way done as the evolution chambers are finishing. So there's going to be a big window where Bunny has better upgrades.
Okay, the mutas are now starting. We have 4 on the way so far. We'll see. I'm sorry, the Raven got all the way back home, right? Where is it? Or no, I think it actually is parked at the bottom right.
Yeah, I think you're right. I see a little blip that no one should be able to see, so maybe that's the Raven floating there. Okay,
well, he's going to have to be careful because if the mutas can come out and start to take all that out, that's a lot of gas loss there for the Terran.
Now look at this. He's getting Roach upgrades. Not going to focus on Lings at all, but does have a pretty solid group of mutas being made. So maybe a bit of Mutos harassment and like a 1-1 Roach timing attack, something like that?
It's possible. Again, another alternative style is what we're seeing here. He's going to get the Banshee. Nicely done. Takes that out. By the way, I think with the Queen's overextending there, yeah, he's going to be able to kill that off pretty easily. So, guys, keep in mind, in these positions, Terran usually tends to push into the main of the Zerg. Zerg might try to keep expanding towards the south, and basically pushing cross spots is harder than pushing on one corner of the map. So a lot of times the action will just come down to Terran trying to push up there and then wipe out all the Zerg's tech on the way through there.
Yeah, and you can see a lot of situations where if Zerg brings his entire army down to fight that, a big drop can occur in that main base. It gets a little bit hard to handle.
Yeah.
But 1-1 is finishing. He's actually making a good amount of Ravagers and Roaches right now. And with that speed upgrade, this could be a good time to hit before 2-2 gets kicked in for Bunny.
Meanwhile, the Muta's still flying around here. Does seem like Bunny tried to cut as many corners as possible after that command center got denied. He wanted to just really get into a macro game as fast as possible. Okay, Roach Ravagers up.
More and more Ravagers being produced right now.
And keep in mind, the Ravagers are basically going to annihilate the tanks. And the Roaches are already pretty beefy.
Siege tanks are a little bit scary, though. Like, he has to get in range. He has to be able to rain those biles down. Muta's flying around. That's a good spread of siege tanks right now.
Not really seeing any Widow Mines being utilized here.
I think I like the siege tanks a lot more. Like, especially considering the strategy we just saw with the Hydras and Banes. Like, the Hydras can clear Widow Mines pretty well overall. The Widow Mines, I mean, they're good. They're always good, but siege tank's going to just pulverize this type of army a lot better.
Muta's coming in here. They're going to be able to catch this. The medevacs are actually being zoned into the main here. Let's see if he can get any kills off here as he's forced to drop. He does unload. Overseer taking some damage. Looks like he barely saves that in time. He needs to have these Lings basically underneath the fight if he's going to hit with these Mutas. Now going for these Medevacs. Meanwhile, a push down here, once again denied by Roaches.
And he's got that 1-1 upgrade, so very helpful. But 2-2 is going to be finishing for Bunny pretty soon here.
2-2 is a big difference from 1-1. Even though Zerg's doing a good job trying to stay up with upgrades, it is Bunny kind of leading the march on that.
Well, from here, are we going to see a hive for Solar? You know,
it's hard to say. I think he might try to go for a big timing attack. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what I was originally thinking, but he started the +1 melee and the +2 carapace. A lot of times that leads into Ultra Tech.
You know, I guess that is a good point, and as well as the fact that like it seems like he would have attacked a while back there. He's about to max out, so if he has anything in store for us, it's probably going to happen then. Is he going to catch this medevac over here?
Yep.
And not quite.
Catches it, but does not finish the job. More Mutas and Lings on the way right now. You know, I'm surprised because he's neither attacking nor is he teching. Okay, there's Infestation Pit. It feels a little bit late, the Infestation Pit. If you're going to make this many Roaches and Ravagers, like the original good style in Legacy of the Void would be, you know, you go for some Roaches and Ravagers to hold on, and you go for a pretty quick Ultralisk Cavern with that, but he's been a little bit slow on the tech.
That was sick, by the way. Good auto turret. Gun down that drum. That's going to slow the Zerg down a little bit. Yeah, and he also did it right when he got maxed out. So it doesn't seem like it's a normal tech up pattern. It's like he stayed exactly at a certain tech.
Yeah.
Good harass here. It seems like he stayed exactly at a certain tech until he couldn't make any more, and then he's like, okay, the rest of these resources go to structures. So I'm assuming he has to do some kind of an attack here. He's going to have tech and he can't make anything else until he shaves off some units.
Well, especially considering he has so much supply tied up in Roaches right now.
Yeah.
Like, if he makes them into Ravagers, I guess that makes it a little bit different. Ravagers scale a lot better into the later game, but when you're maxed out and a big chunk of your army is Roaches, if Bunny, like, for instance, hits this 3-3 and it goes in for a big attack...
Okay, this is what it is. So he basically maxes out. He's going to get a bunch of Banelings. He's going to try to do this huge attack, but hold on, Terran's going to try to fight first. Baneling spilling in. The Ravager's Corrosive Vials being shot out. Tank slowly being annihilated, and Zerg just seems to have too much money. And behind this, he's maxing out on Zerglings, getting a lot more. And this may make it a possibility for Zerg to try to push through. He has to wait for these 60 Lings to hatch out here and get a few more Ravagers. And if you note, the Terran is basically expanded next to the Zerg. So it's like if the Terran loses another push, Zerg just immediately hops across the map. Not even across the map, across a screen length and tries to engage. That's also why Bunny's trying to drop right here.
Yeah, this is good. To put a drop into the main base that he has to bring a lot of units for, and then attack back into this fourth is going to do a lot of work right now. Has some Ravagers out there, but he needs the rest of his units as well.
Okay, just starting to hit some of those drones there on the corner. Looks like he hasn't quite committed to this attack yet. Instead, he's trying to position these Marines and tanks so they'll be okay if Banelings do try to come in. A lot of those Banelings actually hitting the Marauders there in the front. Muta's now finally trying to come in to meet up with the rest of this army. The Ravagers just annihilating these tanks.
Wow, killing off every single siege tank right here. Bunny forced back to his planetary. Maybe the planetary can hold on.
Yeah, he might be okay. Thankfully, yeah, he does have that planetary there. The thing I'm worried about is that Bunny has lost so much supply. He's at 120. Zerg's at 164, but it's actually possible for Zerg to start maxing out pretty quickly here. Not to mention so many of those tanks, knocked off. You don't really have the pushability.
Battle, he had like 6-7 tanks that were all clumped up kind of in the front together. And... they ate a lot of Baneling shots. There was some Corrosive Vials thrown down, but they got erased very quickly. I feel like he should have had those spread just a little bit more, stifled a little bit more to bleed off the Roach Ravager army.
Okay. Marines coming down here. Just trying to defend. This is going to be the big focal point of this game. Is going to be between this Terran's base at the top over here and then this expansion that Zerg's trying to secure. He is getting the Ultras here. Bear in mind, a lot of times the biggest weakness of the Ultras is it's slow, so it can't travel all the way across the map and hit the Terran. That's not going to be as much of a factor with these two bases up here. And we're kind of at the point in time on this map where Terran can't really get another base easily.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough.
Where is Terran going to expand, guys? Look at the mini-map. It's not going to be easy to take anywhere else. That Zerg can't just run down there, whether it's with Mutas or with Lings or Roaches or whatever, you name it.
Well, it needs to be like a planetary with turrets.
Yeah, which is already hard to set up. Zerg should be able to deny that. So basically, there's a a certain amount of time that Bunny has to try to do something, and he's going to have to do it fast.
He's mostly just sitting on Marine Marauder Medevac Micro, or not Micro, but Macro, which is making me a little bit scared for him because with these Ultras coming out and the fact that his Siege Tanks already have been a bit ineffective, it seems like Solar is in a really good spot. You know, he's sitting here on 5 bases. He's got the type of tech he wants. His creep spread is not fantastic, but he's even starting to add in some Vipers here.
Now, we'll have to see how the engage actually goes down. How good is Bunny's control, and how much will it really matter? I mean, Zerg's army is pretty technical at this point in time. As you can see here, you always want to have something with these Ultras because the Marines can just try to kite against it. In this case, the Mute is pretty helpful there because it's so much more damage. They can't just keep running like that versus the Glaive. So, Terran now going to push in, hitting this hatchery. I don't think there's anything that can save it in time. Absolutely not. Denying that, and look, he backs up. He's going to spread out, saying, come at me, Broseph.
Oh, he's not going to do that right now. Not
says, I'm not your Broseph, bro.
Buddy.
Pal. Meanwhile, some drops coming up here. Look, Bunny's doing basically what he needs to do. Zerg does not have to re-expand to that base that was just lost back there. Zerg can just continue to expand to the bottom right. Now, that is very droppable, but if you note on the map, all that Solar seems to be doing besides gearing up to try to engage us is watching the mini-map to make sure that the center-left expansion isn't taken. There's an Overlord that's dropped creep right over there.
Yeah, that's actually really nice. He has to spend Marines there as well as a planetary, as well as turrets now, so very annoying to deal with, but he's lost one of his bases. He's lost his spawning pool. His upgrades are finishing, though. We have some Liberators sieging up as well. Bunny making this as painful as possible for him to break through, but here he goes.
Okay, he's coming forward. The Ultra's actually stuck behind these Ravagers right now. The good concave around these Ravagers is going to completely annihilate them, and with the Ultras coming in pretty late, it looks like the control here for Bunny might just be good enough. Or should I say miscontrol there by Solar. GG.
Yeah,
Bunny had to do something in that period of time, and he did it.
Yeah, he made a very gross area for Solar to try to attack into, and you're definitely right. The Ultra's stuck behind. It was tough to get in there with the Liberators kind of guarding everything as well. Did use some Abducts to try to negate those, but at the end of the day, that was strong play from Bunny. Some of these drops in the main base kind of keeping Solar busy, keeping the creep spread way back.
You know, the thing is, it was kind of an odd tech choice there from Solar. Like, he got a bunch of Ravagers and then didn't really attack with them. It just seemed a little bit strange. He got all the way to the point where he's maxed out, and then he made his next level of tech. And even though Bunny
that's where I find it weird. Like, normally you'll just get the infestation pit quicker. You don't need to necessarily make Ultras right away. Your economy isn't gigantic, but getting up into that tech, getting your chitinous plating, you know, continuing your evolution chamber upgrades, all this could be important with that style. But I guess, you know, he did spend a lot of money on those Mutas, and they did all right. The Mutas were good. They were cleaning up some drops. He did some harassment damage, but definitely slowed his tech route a bit.
Okay, it's tied up 1-1, guys. Let's see what game number 3 has in store for us.
Season 1. Fight!
In the bottom right, in the blue.
Splice Solar.
Get your hand on the mouse.
Use that drink again. I don't think there was even anything in there.
Yeah.
I think you got like a drop.
In the upper left.
Dust Gaming. Bunny.
He's opened up another can of Hot 6.
Wow. He's going to be full of energy.
That's right. Perhaps too much energy, Artosis.
The Energizer Bunny level of energy.
Yeah. Didn't Duracell copy them in a commercial? There was like a bunny that was parkouring, and I was just disgusted.
Yeah,
I was just disgusted when they did that. I'm like, you copied the bunny? Mm-hmm. This would be like if a car insurance company copied a gecko in their commercial. It'd be like, really?
But instead of a gecko, you just use like a duck or something.
Oh, that's right, Affleck.
Mm-hmm. See, hey, it works.
It works. Yeah.
Here we are talking about GSL. Little do people know they sponsor the GSL, but it has to say hush hush.
Okay, this has been a funny series because the starts of the games, Bunny usually gets himself into a pickle. He's got some problems. Like in the last game, he just lost the command center before it could even finish because the Reaper was in a bad spot. Solar's also gone for some very interesting tech choices. He's really
he's definitely
kind of
playing his own style here, which is very cool to see. Very refreshing Zerg play. Had a lot of various different Zerg strategies so far in this tournament. Hopefully we'll see some from Sue next as well.
That's going to be such a good match, dude.
Only our third best of 5 of the night. It is not ending anytime soon.
No, man. We got a long one here tonight. A lot of games still to cast.
Tomorrow night going to be even longer, Tasteless.
Will it be?
Yeah, 4 best of 5s plus interviews come back.
Oh,
getting deep in the tournament.
That's true.
Got to see what type of games these guys want to show for their fans.
We got to see if they're going to rate themselves a C or a D when they win in a very handedly, incredibly impressive game.
The only question I have is if we'll see Mario play at more than 40% of his skill.
Yeah. And also, will they show great games to their fans? That's another question.
Well,
or if they really want people to cheer for them when they're playing.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the questions that keep me up at night before we have these interviews.
I'm always thinking about them.
Yeah.
Oh, my. So, Overlord speed on the way. Going to be able to scout rather quickly. It is, once again, Reactored Hellions in the Starport coming up. Probably going to grab that Raven. His Ravens have been really fantastic. He has just been racking up the drone kills with them.
All right. Reaper comes in now. Doing a little bit of damage here. Nice job making the Spore, then canceling it. Ultimately, the Reaper's going to... Or not the Reaper. The Reaper's going to have to back out.
That's a Reaper.
That's a Reaper, guys. So the Hellions are now going to come down here. We've seen this a lot with the 2 Hellions coming up here with the Reaper, and sometimes they actually try to scout with it. We saw that yesterday in the Super Tournament. It was pretty interesting.
A lot of sacrificing them as well, though.
Yeah,
pressuring this third base, I do want to point out real quick that Evolution Chamber's on the way. So while not necessarily to drop 3 queens,
he might.
Hey, it's a possibility.
We saw, if you guys are just now joining us, we saw a really cool strategy from Solar where he just like made 3 queens and dropped. And then like killed the Banshee on the base and started killing SCVs. It was pretty wild. But yeah, I think you're right. I don't know if we're going to necessarily see it this time around.
Some scouting going on. Sees that Cloak is on the way and the drop Overlord is being created, Tasteless. So it is going to be the 3 queen drop again. Very much enjoying this strategy. Making a couple more queens as well.
You know, this is going to be one of these builds that there's enough people watching that it's going to completely affect the ladder.
It's really cool.
Anybody who just missed this and didn't see it live and tries to queue up in a couple hours.
Yeah.
No, I'll just play some games.
They're doing this Terran build
and 3 queens come in here and they're like typing you like, you're bad, this isn't even a real strategy.
What an all-in. It's like, no, I'm making drones at home.
LOL, do you think you can just all-in me with 3 queens? And then you lose later?
Yeah.
Be like, no, a pro did. He'd be like, LOL, what pro? Well, Solar did it twice.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him. Okay, so far so good. He's chasing back these Hellions. He needs to try to get us around. It looks like he almost has them all.
Oh, so close.
He's like really committing to this, by the way. These Hellions get a few more shots. His link numbers are going to get pretty low.
These Hellions got butter on them, Tasteless.
Yeah.
Slipping away from almost everything there. Finally, everything does go down, and here we go. The queen drop is real. Some transfusions immediately going down. I love this micro as well.
Yeah.
Oh, he brought in a Viking.
Is he going to be able to get the Viking before he can actually kill off this Overlord?
Well, he can always transfuse the Overlord as well.
Oh,
so the
yeah,
Viking
that's
is
true.
Not the,
that's so true.
It's not really, it doesn't seem like the counter. The Marines definitely helping out. Adding some damage on. Look at this. This is so awesome. He's got to transfuse that Overlord! There you go.
Okay, 1 queen is down, 2 now.
Oh.
And he actually lost all 3, which is a little bit unfortunate.
He killed a Viking, 6 SCVs, lots of lost mining time. I think that this was still pretty cool. It was, well, I know that it was pretty cool because I liked it a lot, and that's,
And you only like cool things, so there you go, man.
Oh, I love things like that.
Yeah.
It's like, why is it, Tasteless, that everything I like is so cool?
Because you're a cool guy, man.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, as you see, when we go back to the Zerg's base, he's at 86 supply. Terran's 54. I'm still kind of wrapping my head around this strat. It's really interesting. And it's funny, too, because we saw the Viking being made to try to stop this build. And clearly that was not the answer. So we're trying to watch Bunny. We're watching Bunny trying to adapt to this strat that Solar keeps throwing out here.
The Viking, to be honest, I think would have been better to land and just put its damage out because Queen anti-air is just too long.
Yeah.
You know, it's
That's
just
a
like,
good point.
you're not going to be able to really kill that Overlord. Okay, drop Overlord coming back right now. Looks like he wants to drop
for
some
banelings.
lings.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like that. Okay.
All right, enough pig impressions for today.
Yeah, let's see if this works. It doesn't look like he's got anything set up to try to draw the screen away. That's usually the best way to do it is you send like a few lings in there to just get them to see this. Uh-oh.
Ooh, the Marine sees it. But does he really see it?
Yeah. Well, he's going to try. He's going to try to come in here now with the Raven. I think he should see this coming.
By the way, this is once again the Hydra Bane style coming out.
Well, it works in game 1. I don't see why you wouldn't just do it again.
Yeah.
Here we go!
Oh, my God.
Oh, why are we not getting a shot of this? Okay, here we go.
All right, 7 SCVs.
Oh, he's going to fake him. Drop it. Don't drop it.
Oh, that would have been crazy. He wasn't looking, though, I think. Oh, well.
We were, though.
That's fine. He kills 7 more SCVs, so he keeps that SCV count relatively low. Bunny going to be able to refill pretty well, though. Does have the 3 command centers up and going.
Meanwhile,
a lot of Hydras being made.
Yeah, a drop coming down here, but if he deflects this, I think that the big timing attack's going to come up. So basically what he wants to do, guys, he's going to get a bunch of Hydras and then make a ton of Banelings and just shut down either the second or the third base. I guess it depends on wherever he thinks he can hit harder. He's set up for another Overlord drop.
Oh, my. Look at this.
Meanwhile, a drop here in the main. I think there should be Hydras that can come in here and intercept this.
Yeah, he should be able to clean this up pretty well. Like, Hydras clean stuff like this with their great range and quick firing super fast.
They don't have the same problems that a lot of other units have where, like, Lings have to get the right surface area over there. The Hydras just kind of get over there and shoot, just like Marines can deny nut drops. Now, you got to keep in mind, even though Terran's harassing and killing some workers, the problem is that he's trading basically Marines for mostly drones. Occasionally, you see a Ling or two get killed off there, but that does sometimes mean that the Terran's army can be a little bit smaller. Another drop coming in here. Hold up, hold up. Hold up.
All right, well, I guess SCVs are probably dying right now, but cleaning up this drop.
Okay.
All right, only 4 SCVs. Not that impactful. But keeping him busy with these drops, and look at this. A lot of creep tumors around the map. His creep spread this game is really quite fantastic. And actually, what? Lurker Den on the way. You know what he's going to do? Lurker drops, I bet. Because, well, I guess you could just put some Lurkers down.
He could try to
at bases or something.
Does Terran have a lot of tanks back there, actually?
No, I don't think he has many.
But I don't think he has a ton.
He was making mostly Widow Mines earlier, so he definitely doesn't have a lot of tanks.
He might just go for this, Battle Zerg style where he just, wants to actually fight you.
I never see Lurkers used against Terran in StarCraft 2. It's just like... I mean... They definitely can have a spot, right? Like, they're good for dropping overall. They're not. They can be good for defense.
They're not inherently bad units. It's just like there are certain unit comps that are just preferable.
Terran is so fast, so they always outmaneuver something so clunky.
Well, maybe it is for drops. I mean, once you get a few Lurkers set up, it's hard for the Marines to engage.
Yeah, it's very true.
As long as you get them in the right angle. I guess you can't really push if it's like a bunch of bunkers set up in tanks, right? Widow Mines. That just seems like that would be unwise to try to attack into, but let's see. He has, I think, 8 Lurkers.
Wow.
8 Lurkers.
2 factory siege tanks are on the way, though.
Look at dim eggs.
And siege tanks should be able to counter these Lurkers pretty well.
Yeah,
in fact, the whole build should be countered pretty well from that.
It seems like it would be. I'm curious to see how he's going to use them. Maybe we can learn something here. Ling's now coming down.
Really would not mind seeing Solar tech up into Greater Spire from here as well. Like, with tanks being really the better combo.
Combos well with Lurkers is heaven.
Absolutely.
Broodlords or something like that with him.
Even Vipers can be very good as well. Blinding Clouds of Ducks, stuff like that.
Okay, well, he's just going to go for it.
This is wild. I'm excited.
I feel like this shouldn't work, but let's see. Looks like it's going to be a soft contain with Lurkers. Once again, it's this weird thing that Solar does when he's playing where he gets maxed out, and then he's like, now I'm going to make the next tech. But I'm not going to attack when I max out. So it's kind of funny.
Well, this entrenched position for Bunny, he is going to have to move out. That's a lot of siege tanks. You try to run up to that with the Lurkers, and you are just not doing anything. You think you might do something like stop position on the Lurkers?
Maybe.
That would be pretty sick.
I mean, Ravens are... Hold on. Hold on.
Oh,
Terran's moving up.
I hope stop position Lurkers. This could be the sickest thing ever. Oh, unless you just... Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's what Terran does anyways when they're moving out.
Wrecked.
Oh, run!
You're like, oh no, we thought that this was a Zerg or Protoss player.
Well, that was just odd that he went for the lurkers like that.
Ooh!
Oh, nice.
20 supply gone.
That's something. Yeah, that was just kind of odd, right? Like, he gets this lurker tech, and then he just sort of sits back.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's doing.
I don't know what the rationale of getting that is.
One thing to say is that it does force a lot of siege tanks. If he was already on his way to Broodlords, I could see this being really, really cool. Because, like, just kind of forcing your opponent to counter a strong unit choice and then having the counter to what they're making is one very strong strategic way to play StarCraft 2. But here it's like, I feel like Bunny has a big enough window that he can kind of get over there and do some damage before Broodlords can be out.
It seems like Solar has a very odd pace in ZBT. Like, he's not really teching or growing, or even with the strategies using early, like anything we can compare to. I can't name a Zerg player and say Solar is like
no
insert name
you're
here.
right
There's
about that.
nobody that really plays like this.
Yeah, it's a different, like, he's getting like a really sick army and then being like, all right, time to tech.
Yeah,
and it's not exactly. It feels less fluid.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's like a very kind of odd, rigid.
It's not that this is bad.
Tech.
But it's definitely a little bit different from the way a lot of Zergs play, or all Zergs.
Yeah, pretty much all of them, man.
This is super cool, though. I love seeing lurkers in this matchup.
The problem is that this is a pretty tiny map, and it's not hard for Terran to get another base, and it's kind of hard for Zerg to counterattack because all your bases are pretty close together. You also have a very short push distance pretty much wherever you're going to push. Unlike some of these bigger maps where we see a lot of Terrans compelled to try to push into, like, the main. For instance, let's say they're both sharing the top. You kind of want to get in that way because it's a shorter distance. You can probably wipe out the tech instead of the expansions, and then Zerg's all off-center. Here, it's like he made these lurkers, and he's like, all right, I'll put these in the middle of the map, and then Terran goes and chases him out, and eventually Terran has a push. Look at this. Terran pushes here so quickly. How does Zerg deal with this? Does he have enough? He's got lurkers up here, but tanks counter this. He's
about to have 7 Broodlords, and 7 Broodlords plus lurkers, Banes, and Hydras underneath is enough to counter this.
And I suppose when you point that out, too, the lurkers and Broodlings or Broodlords can actually push back and maybe deny the Terran expansion.
Yeah, ground doesn't counter Broodlords if they have lurkers under them, because lurkers just shred all ground anti-air, just completely shred it. So this comp he's getting is very, very powerful.
Okay,
like, he'll probably lose this base, I would imagine, but that should be about as far as it goes. Like, he's got enough creep spread, and he's going to have enough broods that, like, broods are just really good against siege tanks.
And you think after that fight, he then pushes the top center?
Yeah, it just starts killing stuff.
Okay, but the Terran's still pushing here. The lurkers are having a leapfrog backwards. I think I saw one brood over there. Does he have the rest of them? 7 more broodlords are being made. He doesn't quite have enough broodlords out here. In fact, the Terran can actually push underneath this.
Oh
this is
God.
huge.
Oh my God. Starting to try to target them down, but Baneling's forcing everything back. He's hit enough of the Marines that the broodlords, as they pop out, should be enough to push us back. 3 lurkers back here as well.
He's going to be able to possibly deny one more. He cancels that one, so it's only 2. No, I'm sorry, it's 5 broodlords down there. And that actually finally chases the Terran back. Now, Zerg is rapidly spending his money. 36 more Lings, 2 more Hydras. And he's going to try to push to the top center. He can wipe out that base if he does it right, and then deny the upper right base, and then Terran's stuck turtling the rest of the game.
Oh my God, these siege tanks going to be absolutely wrecked by the broodlords, just pulling back, not even in siege mode right now. Going to deal more damage to his own stuff if he does go in.
And he's just spilling in with these Lings. He's got to be careful not to overextend. You basically want to stay where the lurkers are.
Yeah, like if he just stays back and defends his broodlords right now and just slowly but surely pushes with them, he's going to knock out everything. Look at this. Viper's on the way as well.
Now, I only see 1 lurker there. Does he have more somewhere else?
I think he only has 2 or 3 lurkers right now. He lost a lot of them already.
A lot of them were picked off as Terran was trying to push in there. Now, if you notice, Zerg's compensated for losing that base in the center right by expanding down to the bottom left. And, he beat me to it. I was going to say, unless a drop comes down there, it's going to be very difficult for Terran to actually take that on. But it looks like Bunny is really on top of his game here.
Yeah, this is kind of funny because as we have this huge, awesome army composition coming out of Solar now, he is so immobile with it. Lurkers and Broodlords are two of the most immobile things, and you need to keep units with them. So, like, his Lingbane Hydra could, for instance, go down and clean up drops like this, but then his Broodlords are kind of left alone.
Yeah, it's funny because drops are already strong against Zerg. Drops are just good in general in StarCraft 2 if you're a Terran player using Medivacs, but it gets doubly good because you just can't get anywhere fast. And the problem is the Zerg army is really hard for the Terran to take on. So it looks like Zerg's going to try to push in here. Let's see if this works. Some of those Hydras getting fished in and pulled towards that. And then the Marines go for it. They're getting right underneath those Broodlords trying to gun him down.
Oh, my God. Parasitic bombs going all over these Vikings right now. What a funny way he's trying to counter all of this. But a lot of Marines coming in from the side. The Banelings pushing these Marines back, keeping those Broodlords alive.
Okay, he's still got these Broodlords up here. The Marines are trying to dive on top of this. Transfuser's going down, buying those Broodlords some time. I don't see any more Marines really under this army.
This is so sick. He just barely ends up holding against all of this anti-air, wiping out the vast majority of these siege tanks.
It's 123 supply to 135. Hold on, did he overextend? More Marines come in. One Broodlord down, trying to get the next one. A few more Lings coming here with the rest of these Broodlings getting in the way of those Marines.
Yeah, I think
this is a really scrappy fight right now. These guys are both just taking whatever they've got and throwing it at each other.
He does not have great upgrades on these Broodlords right now, so definitely has to be careful about that. Bunny has a base in the upper right. This is still the area he needs to try to push, but he needs more units under these Broodlords. They cannot be fighting alone.
A scan over here. He sees what Zerg's got. Now, Zerg did reclaim that expansion in the upper right. Terran is still mining, and that's a planetary there in the very, very upper right corner. Terran also expands in the center left, which is an area that hasn't really gotten much attention from Zerg for the time being.
Moving forward right now, a lot of Lurkers mixed into this army. Not sure where he's going with that.
I think he's just trying to start doing like this guerrilla harass. No longer is it this like Dragon Ball Z, two beams of light hitting each other in the upper right, but instead he's trying to go in all these different locations. Now, if Zerg gets caught out of position here, Broodlord Lurker is very punishable. If the army gets small enough, they can just run over there and kill everything. It's pretty hard to escape, but it looks like it might be Terran that just does not quite have enough.
Wow, look at this. You can't run forward with these Marines right now because of the Lurkers underneath them, but a big counterattack. He's already taken out the base that Solar just took and now going for some of the tech.
He's kind of pushing in up here. Looks like Terran can barely hang on. Some more Lings and Hydras come back here to try to clean this up and drive this out. Oh, he's got to move that right away. However, if you notice, Terran seems to be growing at this point in time faster than the Zerg, really. Yeah. I mean, Solar's doing a pretty impressive job, but not only does Terran have more bases, Terran kind of has more supply at this point in time. In fact, Solar's kind of mining out everywhere. Yeah,
he needs to hold on to some bases, but his unit composition is so immobile. That's where Bunny is really gaining the advantage in this game.
Lurkers coming up here, hitting this this planetary. It doesn't seem like it's a wise decision for Terran to try to come over here and save this. So he may actually just try to repair for the time being and then just rally his SCVs back to a new base.
Yeah, if he can hit another area at the same time that he loses that base, that might be his best bet. But this is some pretty solid defense overall. Even the drones getting pulled, making sure that stays back. Bunny eventually brings some army up here. Not sure exactly why. They're like,
is he going to try to get out of those Broodlords?
Yeah, maybe. I guess we won't see, but I think he did.
Yeah. Some Lings coming in here and getting some harass on. Again, Solar does not really have much of an income. It's just a center right base. There was a decent amount that was mined from the upper right, but it's going to be also important that the center left base here for Bunny is secured. He needs to get a planetary up there. He needs to get some defense. I believe the Broodlord Lurker army is actually rotating over here. Yeah, it is. It's going over there right now.
Well, he's just got to continue to utilize that army. It's more cost efficient than what Terran has, so he can kind of play with this lower economy at the moment.
He's got to be careful, though. He doesn't want to overextend over here. Yeah, the funny thing is, even though Zerg is down in supply, the Zerg army is basically better.
Yeah, you can be down in supply if you have the more cost-efficient units, and that, like, normally that is not the role that we see for Zerg. It's normally the role that we see against Zerg. But Solar has decided to put this matchup on its head and just play completely differently with this Lurker Broodlord composition. So he definitely still has a shot here. In fact, killing off that many SCVs in that base, I think he's probably feeling pretty good, man.
I don't see much here to help defend this hive. And in fact, what Terran's going to try to do is really go for it. This is a little bit risky by Bunny. In fact, he's going to siege up. He needs to get rid of those Lurkers under the Broodlords, but there's also going to be Banelings under that as well. If he sieges up and starts to lose and hemorrhage units, I think Bunny may lose the game.
He's got the much bigger army right now, but this is so hard to engage against. Ooh, those Vikings are doing great, though.
Now, I don't see any queens in this army, so he can't transfuse those broodlords. He's just getting within range. There it is. Now there's a clock on this expansion.
Ooh.
Zerg has to come up with something. In fact, he's hitting the lurkers, which is huge.
Yeah.
Zerg's going to dive in. Let's see how this works.
Okay, moves forward. The broodlords are a little bit slow.
Oh,
and
he
the
needs a
Vikings
scan.
come
He
up to
needs a
hit
scan.
it. Oh, my God.
He
The
needs a
lurkers
scan.
really going to town.
Oh, God. There is so much terror that's being
my
lost. That was a
God.
disaster.
Those lurkers worth so much. And now the Vikings going to end up falling here, trying to take out the final broodlord, and they do.
Okay, Bunny is almost completely dried up.
Oh, my God.
I cannot believe that happened.
Those lurkers
Losing my mind
worth
back there.
so
Yeah.
much.
You know what? I don't think he had enough to actually scan. It wasn't even like he forgot
Well,
it.
he's lost a lot of command centers at this point, too,
He was making planetaries elsewhere, right? He's not like he's sitting on a bunch of orbitals that just can't be utilized.
I think he only has 2 orbitals right now. I know that middle one is a planetary. Did he float? Yeah, he's floating the main right now, and then he has his natural one. So that is only 2, and he's been scanning a lot. Ooh.
Okay, takes out one lurker. Now, right now, it is Solar who's mining more effectively. But if Bunny can get up here to this base, I don't know how he'll hold it, but if he can get up there, that's great. Also, this map is small enough you can't really hide a base and like not expect it to be found.
Well, especially right now when enough stuff is mined out and everyone's getting really close quarters with each other.
Yeah. A drop over here, just trying to kill off some drones. It's 41 drones to 26 workers. Oh, my God.
There's a Viper here, too. Abduct could occur. Nice attack over on this base. It's not really mining that much, so it's not as impactful for him to kill this as it would be for the other base.
It just helps to get these drones.
Yeah, getting anything here is pretty solid.
Okay, he's going to take this out. He'll probably pick up and leave with a boost right after this.
There are so many creep tumors there. I want a scan. It would be so satisfying.
Yeah.
Strategically, maybe this area is not so important, and scans are very important against lurkers, but like...
Look at the income here. Terran is making so much more and just spending, or sorry, Zerg is making so much more and just spending that all on Lings and now some lurkers. Terran is really, really low. Actually just trying to scoot this command center over to the center left, desperately in need for minerals. And the fact that Zerg's been sitting on this base for long enough, I mean, Zerg's already manufacturing all the tools necessary to probably close this out. Bunny is basically relying on his finesse, his ability to micro and keep dropping and keep Solar occupied. And by the way, this is a kind of a clunky Zerg army. You got to burrow lurkers.
Yeah.
I mean, broodlords, you have to babysit the whole time. The Hydras are scary. But really, Terran's army is more mobile. But I do feel like eventually Solar should just gear up and be able to end this game with Bunny losing.
Well, he has to kill that last Bunny base. That's how you end up taking this. Ooh, I think he just used some abducts, to pull in at least one of the medevacs there, so he's going to feel a little bit safer. Going
slowly,
for a chop.
yeah, slowly but surely, Terran's trying to chip away at the infrastructure here. I don't know how much it's going to help, though. You know? Like, if you get these extractors, does that really matter?
Ooh!
Because, okay. And
well,
see,
if you're losing 10 supply to do that,
you're putting yourself at risk every time you move out like that.
Oh, my God. Here we go. The lurker leapfrogging going on.
Okay, so he's pushing. He's just edging it. If he can get in range of the command center, Terran's going to be pressured into lifting off, or at the bare minimum repairing. A scan comes down here. He's trying to arc out these Marauders. This is basically how you want to counter lurkers, is you try to get a spread so that each spine is only dealing damage to one unit. Dude, that was a good surround.
Yeah, it really
and that was the lion's share of the Zerg's important supply was in those lurkers. The rest of it's Hydras and Banes, which, hell, can do a good job. But
he needed those lurkers to stay alive. It's always dangerous to use high-expense siege units alone, and that shows why. These really weak units, if there was anything on top of them, he wouldn't have broken that.
The parasitic bombs coming down here now. Zerg may, even though he lost the lurkers, just have enough overall muscle up here to just take this base out, and I think that's actually going to be GG.
Yeah, it looks like Solar is going to be able to take this one after he kills this base. Bunny is just not mining.
Yeah.
What does Bunny even have? He has 4 workers.
He's got 54 minerals.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of gas.
So he can make a 5th worker.
Yeah.
if he needs.
So it looks like he's just going to try to move out.
He's going to see what he can get. Well, if there's no lurkers, right, like, you can micro this pretty well. Those Hydras only have +1 attacks. They aren't quite as machine gunny as they could be.
He's going to try to come up. I mean, I don't blame Bunny for trying, but I just don't really see a way. I mean, just to emphasize how much Solar was in a good position, the fact that he lost all those lurkers and then still came with everything else. Instead of even having to push that, he could have probably taken all of his lurkers and his hydras and everything else and Banes and just gone up there and wiped that expansion out. So Solar almost getting a little bit too fancy for for what his options actually are really this game.
Well, if he just continues to mine from the space, macros up for a little bit longer, that should be just about game.
Of course, there's always the ambiguity when you have a game that's been this back and forth and gone on for this long and you're both low on resources. You really don't know exactly what their supply is a lot of the time. It's not like, the first 10, 15 minutes of a StarCraft 2 game where you pretty much know, like assuming your opponent's playing perfectly, roughly where their supply should be at.
Yeah.
You can count, okay, I've killed 2 medevacs, for instance. That was like 20 supply for him. So I should be ahead in this amount. When you get games that have been back and forth like this, it's almost too much to calculate.
Especially with these really weird builds. There is a level of uncertainty, and that's what Bunny is using to kind of stay in the game right now. Because the one thing that we are certain of watching this game is that Solar has enough. Like, as long as he's careful, he's going to be able to continue to secure bases and deny bases from Bunny.
And, of course, I actually respect really what Solar's doing here. He's just playing very safe. You don't want to, screw this up. There's so much on the line in this tournament.
Ooh.
Okay, this, I believe, is going to be the actual game-ending fight. As you can see, no matter how hard Terran kites, you will never be able to stop that. GG.
Wow.
Solar wins game 2. 3, excuse me. 4, 5, 6, 7. Solar, really good job back there. I'm really, really impressed.
Yeah, well, this was such an interesting game. Solar going with the clean drop again into Hydra Bane, which was popular for a little bit a while ago against Terran, but never really found its spotlight in the pro scene. But then going into Lurkers and Broodlords, and then staying on Lurker, Hydra, Bane, Ling, such a wild different strategy. And not just that, but when you got the Vipers, use some Abducts, but a lot of Parasitic Bomb. And that's cool, because we don't see that spell quite as much. A lot of people find Abduct to just kind of be, it's cheaper to cast. It's like, it guarantees kills when you have Hydras and stuff. But really, really cool play out of Solar here in this game.
Well, this is going to bring us into game number 4. It looks like Solar's actually going to run and use his short break. So we were talking about this.
Solar turned into a chair.
We were talking about this before the game started. We were asking ourselves, okay, well, what is Solar going to play like? Is he going to play like Yell and go Ling, Muta, or
you play like Dark with a more Roach Ravager type of style? Instead, bring in a whole new way of playing. Going into Lurkers, I hope he does that again in the next game. Maybe this is just he's trying to abuse these small ramps on Echo, and somehow the game just kind of got into this weird spot. But I would love to see him try that again.
Yeah, he's got this really out there way of approaching the game. I don't know if it's better than either Dark's or Biel's playstyle. That seems to just be very clean. But the fact that I don't think Bunny really plays against stuff like this that much is also problematic for Bunny, because it doesn't matter how good Bunny would be against somebody like Dark, for instance, if you are encountering somebody like Solar who's just playing like he's a 4th race in the game.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely not something that Bunny has a lot of experience against, playing against Lurkers.
Yeah. You could see even the moments when he was trying to push in with some of the Broodlords that it's like, ooh, man, that's actually definitely an overextension.
You have to go into Vikings from there, and then he had some Abducts and some Parasitic Bombs.
I do wonder if Solar only does that strategy on that map specifically, because that map is so tiny. Normally when you're dealing with Broodlords, obviously it's hard to fight them head on, so what you instead do is you expand away from the Broodlords and you keep dropping everywhere. And Zerg kind of falls apart if you're really on top of your game, but it seems like on that map you can't really expand.
It felt map-specific. You're definitely
away
right
from
about
it
that.
because it's so small, and drops are just manageable because you don't have that many bases no matter what.
You're always on ramps and stuff, right? So you can't really engage up a ramp into Lurkers. That's just not going to work. Everything clumps naturally.
Yeah.
So it definitely could just be a style for maps like that.
SuperTournament Season 1.
All right, we're ready. Fight. They're ready. Are you ready? Solar versus Bunny. Game 4. Is Solar going to keep playing weird? I don't know. Maybe.
I hope so.
Possible. Certainly possible. And will Bunny be ready? In the upper right.
Splice Solar.
And in the bottom left in the red, he is
Dust Gaming Bunny.
Definitely has to be a bit taken off guard, I think, from that last series.
So we have the first hatchery being put actually in an unorthodox location at the third base.
Yeah, that's kind of sneaky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny because we have like Solar basically probably bringing, I think, the most strategy out of the Zergs that we've had in the Super Tournament. Like, he's really just approaching everything kind of differently.
Yeah.
And trying to play around every sense of what the common ZVT meta is.
Yeah.
To keep Bunny on his toes and really having to lean on his instinct as much as possible, which is kind of cool. I think we really are seeing now in Legacy that there are so many ways to play Zerg.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there are just so many ways to play actually all three races.
Yeah.
And we're just seeing like the tip of the iceberg right now. Yeah, some metas like solidify a little bit and we can see ways that are stronger and weaker overall, but like for instance, Battlecruiser play, TY has used it twice in pro matches in the past 2 weeks, and he has gone 1-1 again with it, right? So that's kind of neat to see. And then we see like all these Zergs having completely different takes on the Zerg vs. Terran matchup. Of course, you know, PvP has a million openers. ZVZ has a really diverse late game, even if the early game is a little bit mapped out. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting stuff, man, to have all these different ways to play.
Okay, the Reaper comes in here. Immediately a Spore is forced out. So he does not want to lose that drone. 2 Spores now.
Yeah, this is what happens when you go double hatch before pool. The Reaper is a little bit harder to deal with.
So he's going to have to micro this perfectly.
Ooh.
Oh, that was nice.
Oh, he's going to get that
Lings
one.
are out, though. Oh, my God.
Wow. Okay, you got 2 drones for that.
Hilarious.
Oh, man.
Okay, well, the Reaper has already killed 3 drones. This is why we don't normally see this kind of a build here from Solar.
Double hatch before pool, man. three drone kills is pretty significant. Normally you'll see like a Ling killed with the Reaper.
Well, here's the thing. It's not even necessarily done, Artosis. The Reaper's coming in here. Really well-placed mine, and he gets another drone.
Oh, that was a good bounce. He had nowhere to build. We need to make spores so that it can fit in between the mineral stasis.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so in this build, we're kind of waiting to see what exactly Zerg wants to do. Now, the fact that he lost that many drones early, you know, in most StarCraft 2 builds, you pretty much don't lose any drones early. You kind of, at this level of play, hold off everything perfectly, and then your build's so fine-tuned, you're basically fine. That's why we've seen this dance 1,000 times before in professional StarCraft 2, but this time around, the Reaper actually came in there and like did a lot of damage and really interrupted mining timing.
Yeah.
So I feel like tempo-wise, Solar's like not in a great spot, especially to take hits like that right away.
Yeah, and this is actually kind of a different build that we're seeing right now out of Bunny. Look at this. Wait a minute. Okay, so
hold on. He's still doing more damage. These Lings are not getting good surface area. He's actually having to pull all the drones that were on the minerals. He's actually going to come through here again. This is 4 more. Okay, does not get that final shot off. There were a lot of bruised drones in there.
Going a little bit more bio-heavy early on. Still no starport for Bunny. So he's done a lot of builds with like an early Raven, getting maybe a Banshee out to go with his Hellions, but definitely going to go much more bio-heavy this game. Early on, at least.
Yeah.
Has that 1-1 on the way?
I wonder if that is actually a response to how much damage you did early on. You probably think, okay, I probably can just go across the map and put pressure on. I don't know if that was necessarily the build he was just going to go for no matter what.
I think he also wants something that isn't going to allow, like, for instance, you try to 3 queen drop against this, I don't think it's going to work out.
No, right? No. Well, you've already...
Also, if you're trying to go into Hydras or something and he has this much bio, like, a lot of builds are predicated on the fact that your opponent is kind of like teching heavily early. That's like part of the meta is expanding and teching as much as possible, as greedily as possible in basically every matchup.
Yeah.
And if you can throw off some of these builds by just getting more production early. You just like bop them. It's like, oh, you're doing too much. Okay, here you go. Here's a bunch of units.
I think it's smart. We'll have to see, especially if we do get in the late game, what exactly does Solar do? Solar is playing such a different Zerg game from everybody else. And you know that Bunny has to factor that in, where he's like, all right, what kind of weird shit are you going to do this time, man? Like, you going to try that lurker crap
Very well
again?
said, yeah. He's got to factor in. Okay,
all right, what are you
kind
doing?
of weird shit are you going to go for, man?
Exactly.
This has been kind of
Can you
bizarre.
at least play kind of like any other Zerg in the world right now? Because I actually practiced for this.
Yeah. This is really inconsiderate of you, Solar.
Yeah. You're a real scumbag Zerg right now. Trying to pull a fast one on me.
Nice little flank there, catching the Overlord. Layer going to be finishing up.
Note the location of... Oh, I'm sorry. No, he does not actually take a 4th base just yet. I thought I saw a hatchery made there for a second. Okay, so he's just staying back on 3 bases. But it might be when the 4th base is actually set up that Terran decides to push. Right now, I got to say, overall, every engagement we've had here from Bunny has gone like really well.
Yeah,
in
he's
this
got
game.
very
He's like
solid
kind of just
micro.
going around killing stuff, getting these Overlords. He's going to come out here now and try to get rid of these creep tumors. We do have the Hydra Den making Artosis, so
Super cool.
okay.
So the Bane Hydra once again, but he's got all these extra units, and Baneling's speed is not done, so this is going to be a bit harder for him. Going to start whittling down some of these Marines.
Okay, losing just a few back there. As 1-1 nears completion.
All right, that Hydraless Den is going to be finishing
So,
up.
what we saw, guys, in game number 1, if you're just now tuning into this, Solar, I should say, got a bunch of Lings and Banes, and then just made a ton of Hydras and did like this Hydra Baneling bust. And it just smashed the Terran. But the Terran also played a bit of a strange, well, it was more of a tech opening game, where this time it looks like we're really seeing Bunny just much more interested in picking fights.
Yeah.
Trying to do proper TVZ, just like mow down the creep, try to get the Zerg army out in the front, and then he drops in the main.
Well,
Keeping Zerg honest.
Yeah, with the speed of his third with the speed of his third command center, as well as the speed of his barracks, he's just going to have way more units to try to counteract these Hydra plays. So,
whoa, big hit there.
Yeah.
Also, I think that was a way huge overextension there to send the medevacs through like that. I think you always want to, in this case, like drop on the edges. We've already seen that he's willing to go Hydras before.
Yeah.
I don't think you ever fly medevacs through like that there. I think you want to stay on the edge, try to fire down whatever you can, pick up and get back out. Because the most important thing for Terran against this kind of unit comp is to have a lot of everything that you have. If you're flying around and you're not even like trading, but you're just like losing medevacs, or medevacs are getting stuck over in the upper right, Zerg can probably just run you over.
Yeah, he's macroing up to a very strong comp that can do like an attack move type of situation, but we got to remember as well, there's no Spire out. It's hard for him to actually run around, catch these drops. Oh my god, he's going Lurker Den again. So this wasn't just map specific, because Daybreak definitely is quite a bit different.
Dude, I was sure that had to be map specific. This is so interesting that he's doing this.
Well, I would say for sure, just looking at terrain, that Echo is probably a better map. I would say for sure that probably no. I would say that, it just with the ramps and everything, it seems like that would be the ideal map for this. But something like Daybreak, where your 4th base is generally that middle one, there's a lot of angles that you can come in from, even from high ground.
Yeah, you do make a good point. I mean, it's the same idea of why you can abuse anybody who's going for roaches with medevac drops, but I'm just surprised. The other game, I wonder what exactly triggered the fact that he did that huge timing attack there, if he just saw that Terran was like overall slower and not adapting quickly enough, because he's going for this lurker play again. Again, on a map like this, you really can just go around the lurkers. Also, a lot of the areas you fight in, they make for really good arcing fights for the Terran.
Yeah, the 4th base is like where you have most of your fights on this map. Like that's where the game is decided a lot. So that makes the lurkers a little bit more questionable in my opinion, but like once you have the lurkers sieged up, like you can't really engage it unless you have siege tanks.
Yeah, that's true. So guys, since lurkers were introduced back in like 1999 in Brood War, initially people really had a hard time fighting them, and then people figured out you just have to get them from multiple angles, and the spines don't really do that much of anything. So they're very good at fighting in valleys or on bridges.
Yeah.
But
anything
the more
clumped
open,
just gets destroyed.
Yeah.
So if they have to attack in the lurkers, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
That's like why they pair so with Broodlords.
Hold up, big drop here in the main. And we know that this is not going to be something Zerg can get back to as easily because most of that army was just out in the front. He's actually going to get the layer. Oh, sick. He got it.
Yeah, solid kill right there. That's going to super slow down any hive tech that could be coming in, which means that suddenly mass siege tank counters this strategy really well.
I'm sorry, there's no Spire here, right?
There is no Spire.
Wow, looks like Solar's in trouble.
And not just no Spire. Like, last game, right? The siege tank push was coming, but it was a little bit slow, so Broods got out. Not going to happen this time. He has to remake his lair, then he has to go into hive.
Okay, Zerg's going to go for it. He's pushing in. So many Hydras and Banes. I think he has to shove with the Lurkers one more time.
Yeah.
And he's going to do that right here, right now.
Okay, well, you have to back up. He lifts off this command center. He just needs a lot of siege tanks. He has a second factor now. Hitting the fourth base. This immobile Zerg army having a hard time. Could end up losing it. A lot of Lings coming in, but he is just targeting it down.
Okay, he gets the hatch. This is a game of whack-a-mole, and Bunny is winning. He's going to get all the tickets. If he gets enough tickets, or if he gets about 300 tickets, Artosis, he can buy a PlayStation 1 game at the arcade.
Oh, my God.
You know he wants Spyro the Dragon so badly.
That is exactly what it is.
No one's gone up to him and said, why don't you just buy that game with the money that you have that you're using to get tokens at this arcade?
Anyone who says that just doesn't
They
get
don't
it.
get it, do they? No.
Okay, the Lurker's going to come over here and siege up. This is actually quite nice. A lot of supply depots here and some of the production, so he's going to be able to take that out. You really can't engage on top of that.
That's not a pretty sight. Well, he's going to try to push in here. Now, because all these structures are set up like this and the command center is kind of in the way, it's actually kind of a bad position for Terran to rush this.
Yeah, he just needs siege tanks.
Yeah, you need to get siege tanks, but if the Lurkers actually edge in and just hit the tank, that's also bad news. And here we go.
Well, he's just diving on the siege tank right now. There's just one there targeting it down with these Lurkers, trying to kill it off.
Okay, he actually does get it, which is pretty sick. We need another siege tank over here. What a weird game,
Dude,
man.
he's just not. He's only had up to 2 siege tanks at a time. His siege tanks were a bit later this game.
Okay, he just took out 24 SCVs. This battering ram Zerg style.
This is so cool.
I do feel like the Terran could be doing a better job against this. I think you are right, Artosis. If he had just some more tanks.
Yeah, his tank production was a little late. He got so heavy on bio early, which did allow him to take out the layer. It did allow him to do some earlier damage and take out that fourth base. But, you know, you're paying a price when these tanks get sniped, when the Lurkers are just moving forward and sniping them. If you don't have the tanks, you are not dealing with this. And yeah, maybe you could deal with like Liberators or something like that, but tanks are going to be the very obvious choice here.
Was that layer remade?
The layer was remade.
It was remade. Okay.
I don't know if he went up to Hive.
Okay, we'll see in a second then. Well, I mean, Zerg's got the momentum on his side. Now, keep in mind, Zerg is up in supply with Lurkers, which means the Zerg really does have a stronger army by a considerable amount. But, okay, hold up. If he loses these Lurkers, though, now this is how you get Lurkers, guys. See this angle?
Yeah, that is a very good amount of surface area. And don't forget, he's been really skimping on ranged attack upgrades. He's been focusing more on melee for those Lings and Banes. And so, plus 0 Lurkers, it does make a difference.
Absolutely.
These Marines are sitting here with... Does he have 3-3 yet? I think he does.
He at least has 2-2.
Yeah.
He may very well have 3-3 here. Okay, so Terran's going to try to expand out here. This is going to be one of the big moments of this game because Terran needs to get another base. The third base for Terran is pretty much dried up. That being said, Zerg does have just one mining base, and then there's the bottom right that just finished. But I think it's going to be much harder for Terran to push the Zerg than the Zerg to push the Terran here.
Yeah, I actually have an idea.
Go ahead.
If he made a Nidus into the main base with this tank-based army, like, I normally don't like it when people are talking about Niduses, like, that's, you should just make a Nidus, because it's, like, most of the time fan fiction. But in a game like this, where he's drawing all of his units up because this army is so unmobile, if he just popped a Nidus in that main base, I feel like he could just destroy.
Well, it's smart because the infantry would go back. He might be able to just jump on top of the tanks. Zerg's going for it. These Lurkers burrowed pretty far back, not really as much part of the fight. This may actually cost him. He's going to continue to come in here, though. The banelings are arcing up. There are so many Marines down here at the bottom.
There really are, but the siege tanks are being sniped. A lot of lings up at the top still. Everything's staying on top of these lurkers, and with no more siege tanks on the field at all, the lurkers are winning.
Okay, lurkers beginning to edge forward here. We've got a Zerg push underway. A lot more banelings are being set up. We don't see another tank come in here to meet up. The tank really is the solution for this. The Zerg has to then try to engage the tank, and of course the Marines will stem and try to fire that down.
Yeah, that engagement started going well for Bunny, but once all the tanks went away, it just became a solar victory.
Yeah.
And that's like what we're always going to see in this situation. If there are tanks, Bunny's doing well. If there are not, Solar's doing well.
I wonder if he's actually just going to try to dive on top of this planetary, if he's going to try to just hold the ground and chip away at it. Because getting rid of that planetary, I mean, Zerg's on 2 operating bases. You can actually keep macroing up here.
Bunny has units to the north of the planetary and the south. If he dives to the planetary and a big stim flank comes at that moment, that might be Bunny's time to shine and actually kill off the entire army.
That could be his get out of jail free card
look
there.
at this.
Oh, Marauders from the top, taking out a lot of those lurkers.
Solar not on top of staying on top of his lurkers, basically.
And right now, the lurkers are in a neutral position. In fact, I don't believe. Okay, he's not withdrawn them, but he's going to have to group up more of his army. And in fact, if he leaves these lurkers there, they could just get killed off as well. This is like really easy to kill.
He needs to be very careful about losing lurkers right now. They are quite expensive units. +2 attack on these tanks, by the way.
Ooh. Yeah, scary, man. Zerg is nearing maxing out. There's 40 more lings coming, so I don't think he's going to do anything until those 40 lings can meet up with the rest of the army. You can see some banelings and lings and hydras here just to protect this. So it'd have to be more of a push and less of a drop if he's going to try to come in here and do any damage. And this actually might be enough. These banelings and hydras are spread out enough. I think if he just controls well, good targeting. There you go.
The rest of the army coming down, though, and is going to force Bunny away.
You know that Solar wants to take out this base over here. The 4th, because it's going to be a much harder game if Terran stabilizes and starts to take a 5th base.
Yeah, if he just keeps adding siege tanks.
Look at the upper left. How are you going to push the upper left with lurkers? That's like that's like the biggest headache for Zerg.
By the way, a Nidus is on the way, Tasteless. It's going to happen. This is like, I think that this is the best time I've ever seen for a Nidus. If you pop all that out, like siege tanks and Bio can't get back in a position when you have lurkers on top of a ramp.
Yeah,
it's going to take you a million years to retake
Terran's not maxed out.
Yeah.
He could actually get this in the main. He's going to have to deal with this drop over here first.
Okay, a lot of lings running around the north side of the map right now. The Nidus is incoming. Nothing's going back. This could be big for Solar.
I don't think he's looking. Oh, wait, he's turning around now. Get ready.
See if he can get it going.
Oh, he's actually just sending a small amount down there. Here we go. He's unloading. Okay, it was denied.
Yeah, well, there you go. Good targeting, good targeting. No queens popping out to kind of help it, I guess. But another Nidus immediately coming.
You could make the Nidus there again and then actually just try to dive on top of the planetary.
And he's actually out kind of in the middle. So this Nidus is going to work out this time.
Yeah. Now getting these lurkers over here, look at this. He can get right by the barracks.
Yeah, he's going to kill so much of his production. Like, even if he lifts off everything,
here we go.
Like, a lot of reactors going to go down.
He's got to keep his army together. He needs to stay out of range of those siege tanks. He just needs to move the lurkers back slightly. Oh, in fact, he's going to bring everything back to the Nidus and probably just try to engage us head on.
Yeah, it could be.
Is it going to work, though?
It's a good amount of siege tanks. Oh, look at this. He's coming in, trying to clean this up right now.
Okay.
They pop more units out of that Nidus, and here he goes.
All right, so he's... He's got to be careful because that Nidus is kind of out there. If Terran actually snipes that, some of these units are going to get...
they're going to be trapped in there.
Yeah, they're going to get isolated. Terran is just inching forward. I think this next tank is going to be in range of the Nidus. Although, in fairness, the Terran's actually losing all the production over here.
Yeah, with that production
going
on, look at his supply. Yeah, he's actually down 50% in army supply. Even with a composition full of siege tanks right now, how does he hold on against this?
Yeah, well, Terran might be pushing too slowly. Okay, here we go. Nidus is going to be denied before this attack from the Zerg. Okay, no, I'm sorry. The Zerg is not even going to attack. He's still staying, but he's actually just trying to buy time. He knows he's still mining, and right now Terran can't produce.
Yeah,
trying to bank as much money as possible.
This base is almost mined out as well. He can just, as much time as he can buy, he's moving down into the natural of Bunny now from that main base that he's already cleared out.
Look at the top left. Lings are going to hit up there. Okay, he's forced to lift. Terran don't got a base already.
No, he's got nothing going on. He's trying to rebuild depots and stuff in the center of the map, landing some of his barracks.
As it turns out, you need buildings in this game. He's going to come down now. He's unburrowing the lurkers. Now, is this an overextension here by the Zerg? A really good arc here by the Terran.
He takes out all of those lurkers very quickly. He's got 3-3. These Hydras are only 1-2, which means the bio can cut through them.
Baneling's coming here from the south and connecting quite nicely. Yep. Zerg needs to keep producing. He needs to bring macro out the rest of his army. Terran's not really mining. Terran can't make more of an army.
There's just
I think he did it. I think he did it.
There. Just enough. The upgrades of the Terran army almost winning for him. Wow,
this was a really cool technical win. I don't know if I agree with how Solar does this, but he's making it work, and it's really fun to watch.
It's super fun, man. This is the coolest style that we've seen for TV's or ZVT in so long. Now he's just diving on top of this Planetary. He wants to end this game right here, right now. This Planetary does not want to die, but he is going to eventually.
Okay, he takes it out. And I think we have Bunny basically digesting the loss, processing this moment, processing this weird style.
What a crazy victory.
And it really shows you how much damage he did with that Nidus. Even though that Terran army was scary, eventually, he just thinned out everything. And
floats all his buildings in the corner, makes him kill them all. I'm like, Bunny, man, we want to get home on the train,
and now,
dude.
Yeah, we see Bunny doing a throwback to casting Marine King in 2011. Okay, he leaves the game. GG. Solar wins.
That was such an awesome series. Super Tournament is super delivering.
That's right. Staying true to the name already.
Solar with just a radical style of Zerg versus Terran.
Yeah.
And so far, 3 of our 4 top Zergs in the world, all 4 of which are in this tournament, have won and have used completely different styles.
Yeah.
How awesome is that?
It's really special. By the way, guys, that's not
the
even
4 Zerg Horsemen.
We have one more match as well tonight, guys, and that's the best one.
Yeah, but can it live up to Solar Bunny? That was such a sick series.
Certainly going to look different. Yeah, we've got Sue versus Maru. Congratulations to Solar. So another Zerg advancing, and again with a totally different approach to the game.
Yeah, really neat. Can't wait to see what people's reactions are to that Lurker style.
I do wonder if he's going to do that more. Also, he was dropping queens. Okay. That was cool.
Here is my thought. If Maru beats Sue, I feel like Maru was designed to kill this Lurker style.
Yeah, for
sure. I think he will tear it limb from limb. I think it will not beat Maru if Maru beats Sue.
Well, we're going to find out in just a little bit. We are going to a short break. When we come back, our final best of 5 to wrap up the round of 16 in the Super Tournament.